Wednesday, good people. Welcome to Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is the safe space where we set oppression ablaze. And today I decided to set the patriarchal makeup ablaze. So I decided not to do it for the male gaze today. Not that I usually do it for the male gaze. I don't know who the fuck gaze I do it for. But anyway, coming to you today with a fresh face. I was not with the makeup shits today. My bad. But I appreciate y'all. Appreciate me. And let me not even say my bad, because if we keeping it all the way funky, I mean, my gosh, my skin is clear. Yeah, I was having a good skin day. I said, you know what? We're not gonna cover up God's creation. Not today. Today we will let the goddess shine through. And I appreciate y'all being here for that. So, welcome everybody to the program. We've got a great show in store for you today. A couple things I want to get to later in the program. The story I'm gonna talk about at the end has to do with a tribal leader in Massachusetts from the Wampanoag people. The Wampanoag Mashpee people, for we know this, were the first people that the goddamn colonizing Puritans encountered in Massachusetts. The people that are often depicted eating with the pilgrims for Thanksgiving. The people whom I wish would have came with machete. Maybe I mean, they did. They definitely came with machete, but they was nice. God damn it, just godly people. They should have came with the machete first, but I digress. So anyway, story caught my eye. Believe it or not, the tribal chairman of the Wampanoag people himself has been charged with theft of tribal artifacts from a museum. And I said, the whites will not give up. The whites said, no, we have stolen all, and we will charge you with stealing back your own shit, the shit of your own. I mean, not shit per se, the things, your tribal things, the stuff, the artifacts of your own people. They have charged this person with theft. And it's not funny, but I laugh at the audacity of whiteness sometimes. We'll get to that later on in the show. One of the main things I want to talk about tonight is a story that blew up on social media, having to do with labor and delivery nurses at Atlanta's Emory University Hospital. And these nurses, whoo, child, the social media that got people's perceptions all fucked up because people will very freely, without prompting, without coercion, will tell on themselves. They will get on the internet. They will turn their phones on and tell on their fucking selves. And these nurses did something on TikTok where they described their patient icks. And they got into all the things that they don't like that their patients do. Well, it turns out all of these icks, all of these things that annoy these labor and delivery nurses are actually, very callous. It just sounded very cruel. It did not come across very well. And there has been action taken against them after the social media uproar. So I wanted to take a look at the video in question and what some of the response has been from pregnant people who have delivered at that hospital, and said that they have received horrific treatment, and just the ways generally that Black mothers and expectant Black mothers are dealt with, even by our own folks in some cases. So we'll get into that in just a bit. Before we get into the meat of the show, let me say what's up, sup to my folks. Them, I see Spin Cycle Dragon. I see Holly Horn. Peace, John Kemper. I see Progressive. Good to see you in the building. Hey, Anna Hart. How did the disability support chats go? The main one happened yesterday, Monday, and the caregivers chat was Sunday. I did not attend. I will be back in attendance. It's just fallen on odd days for me, so my apologies, but I hope everybody showed up. What's up, Donnie? What's up, Franny Francais? Peace. We got some new youngins in here. Is that James? Come through, James. Love to see him in here. Ooh, hey, Vesper. How you feel? 40J Blaze, what's good? All right, I'm glad to see my folks in here. Good, good, good. All right. Oh, big up to my mod love. Regardless, we show love to the mods. Period, point blank. Courtney and Latif, big love, big mod love. What's going on, Infinite Content? Good to see you in here as well. Well, let's get rolling. Infinite Content, you sent me the story, and I'd seen the story, and I'm glad you sent me the story. It's a cool story. Well, is it cool? It's maybe cool is overselling it a bit. In fact, actually, hold on. Before we get into it, y'all go ahead and what the fuck is this? Does that say 35? See, I think YouTube is acting like a little biatch. I don't think YouTube is giving people the proper notifications. And in fact, I'm looking at my phone right now. Okay, and it did give me the notification. It's okay, YouTube. I temporarily take it back. So let's get into this first story. Actually, because the issue pertaining to abortion rights and abortion access in this country is one. I'm sorry, we cannot put down this football until these goal posts are completely reversed. In half the states in this country, women, girls, people with the ability to get pregnant do not have full autonomy over their bodies, over the kinds of medical care that they receive, especially when they get pregnant. It is some real shit out here, y'all. And no, hold on. Okay, let's start with some good news. Let's start with the good news. So let's run that first story, that WBAP.com. I don't think this is Black Alliance for Peace, although it would be awesome if Black Alliance for Peace had its own news outlet, which is interesting. But here we go. So this is coming out of the San Antonio area. Bexar County judge tosses first bounty hunter abortion lawsuit. What does that mean? Let's go to Andrea Grimes, really good Substack, who does a very good roundup newsletter of the abortion news across the country and internationally. And what Andrea basically surmises is that the fact that this is the first of its kind under Texas's SB 8 bill, where regular citizens, regular ass fucking snitches, can go file a lawsuit against someone that either provided abortion services or helped to facilitate the means for a person to receive abortion services within the state of Texas. And this bill, pardon me, this law, SB 8, does not take into consideration whether or not the pregnant person in question has been raped or has been a victim of incest. They don't care about any of that. Okay. If you help to make it so that a pregnant person is no longer pregnant via the medical route, Texas says you could sue people for 10 G's, right? So this first of its kind lawsuit, thankfully, was thrown the fuck out on Andrea Grimes' Substack. Says the big takeaway is that the first and only lawsuit so far attempting to take advantages of Texas SB 8, the quote, bounty hunter slash any motherfucker, shout out to Andrea, I love this, any motherfucker anywhere law, was thrown out by a state judge and the lawsuit, interestingly enough, was brought by a person not even residing in Texas, a Chicago attorney who describes himself as being pro-life. They tried to sue abortion provider or doctor, Dr. Alan Baird, who penned an op-ed in the Washington Post shortly after Texas's SB 8 law went into effect, where he admitted to giving abortion services to a person 5 weeks, roughly or so. I think it was weeks, maybe it was days. I think it was weeks, though. Shortly after Texas's SB 8 bill passed. So that's what that lawsuit was about, and it was tossed out. The judge apparently said that this is not this law is not going to be used in this way, but in fact it probably is going to be used in that way more often, right? So we'll see. But that was a good sign that the judge tossed out the first bounty hunter lawsuit. But the problem is, the issue still remains, is that women and girls do not have access to abortion services, okay? And unfortunately, There is a case out of Mississippi that we're going to take a look at, and I'm gonna get content warning. Content warning. This is for this teen girl is a survivor of sexual assault. She was made pregnant by the assault. She and her family, her parents, mother and father, live in Mississippi, and her family was completely unaware of Mississippi's new abortion restrictions. They had no clue. You guys are going to be blown away when you see this story. But it just underscores again why we have to keep up the reproductive justice fight for everybody because you just never know whom and when you will need these services. Like, these are life-saving services. These are life-changing services in a number of ways. And for people who become pregnant not by consent, this is a lifeline, right? For not having to subject yourself to all kinds of lifetime trauma and having to look at the product of your assault on a daily basis. I mean, just unreal. And these states, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, Louisiana, I mean, all these places are subjecting women and girls to this unnecessary heartache and unbearable sort of decisions that they are forced to consider, and then having to make the decision and whether or not they're going to have the actual resources to follow through on their medical care. So this piece was from WAPT in Mississippi. And like I said, I'm giving you guys a content warning. I'm telling you what it's about. It's not easy, but I think it's important that we see these kinds of stories because these are people's real life scenarios that they're dealing with. Okay. And like, this is not just some political football here, like where the right wing won. They won overturning Roe v. Wade. Well, they have overturned a lot of people's fucking lives as a result and put undue hardship upon folks who are already in desperate situations to begin with. So let's look at this piece from WAPT, everybody.
Only on 16 WAPT, a family going through the unimaginable. Their daughter impregnated after being raped. They faced a gut-wrenching decision and decided to end the pregnancy. But what happens to a rape victim in Mississippi where there are no abortion clinics? We're disguising the identity of the parents and their daughter, but this is their story.
Being in the room where she was at, explaining how she got pregnant was where my world really shattered.
We're calling them Jane and John Doe to protect their young teenage daughter. They told us about sitting with sheriff's deputies as she detailed how she was raped.
When did you guys start to try to figure out what you were all gonna do?
Immediately.
I mean, it wasn't no trying to wait and waste time or anything like this. Our first instinct is her future.
The Does say they'd never supported abortion, but the trauma their daughter experienced convinced them it was the right choice.
Do you guys keep up with what was happening with abortion laws in Mississippi? Did you even know?
No.
We didn't until after we was trying to find places that would, and they told us if we would have knew about it at least 3 days ahead that we could have got an abortion in Mississippi.
Mississippi's only abortion clinic closed July 6th in the wake of the Supreme Court decision in Mississippi's case to overturn Roe v. Wade. State law allows abortions in cases of rape if you can find a doctor willing to do the procedure, but the Does didn't know where to turn.
I called my OB, the one that delivered my babies. And I explained my situation to him. It was the ugliest feeling having to explain to the doctor that delivered your child that she was raped. And then him having to tell you that he can't do anything to him. He gave me the number to Louisiana Clinic.
The Louisiana clinic was also closed. Volunteers told Jane Doe to try New Mexico. That's where Mississippi's abortion clinic relocated.
I called the New Mexico place. It was just too far when I Googled it.
The closest clinic Jane Doe could find was in Illinois, Planned Parenthood, Fairview Heights, a 7.5-hour drive. Jane Doe called.
She seen the severity of the nature and she squeezed her in. She told me the cost. $15.95.
Jane didn't know where she would find that kind of money.
We tried. It was 2 weeks. We tried. I booked our hotel. That was close to $500, so it was close to $2,000. That's not including food, gas. The funds was the hardest to come up with.
We have seen an increase of nearly or a little over 300% in demand from folks coming from outside of our bi-state area.
Dr. Colleen McNicholas is the chief medical officer for Planned Parenthood's St. Louis region, of which the Fairview Heights Clinic is a part. Her clinic is seeing a rush of families like the Does. Since June, the average wait time for an abortion here has increased from 2 to 3 days to 2 to 3 weeks.
We are now seeing folks 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. And we have a system by which we help folks who are navigating significant logistic barriers and helping them figure out how they're actually going to get to us.
The Does requested sedation for their daughter during the procedure. They say the most difficult part was when she woke up.
I questioned myself, did I do the right thing? Did I commit a mistake? Was I wrong? Did I just ruin her life? Did I make it better?
The Does say they feel they made the best decision they could for their daughter, but the trauma of the rape she experienced is life-changing.
Well, done scheduled her with 2 different therapists to where they can try to talk to her and get her past it, but I don't never think she'll get past it. She'll learn to cope with it, but it's still gonna be something eating at her for the rest of her life. Life will never be normal again.
The Doe family thought long and hard about whether to share their story. They did it because they wanted other families who might find themselves in a similar situation to know what they went through. As for the suspects in their daughter's case, they are charged with sexual battery.
I know that was a heavy one, everybody, and obviously you guys can understand why that's a story that I wanted to share. First, let me credit the young survivor for coming forward to tell what happened to her. And let me credit her parents. My God, I am so deeply appreciative that this young woman had parents that believed her and parents that supported her. It does not sound like she had parents that tried to chastise or condemn her. It sounded as though they were extremely compassionate and understanding and willing to take quick action to do what needed to be done in order for their daughter's life to be filled with her decisions and her choices, not the choices and decisions that her attackers took from her when they assaulted her. So credit to the family. And they sounded like Black people. I know they had the voices and everything distorted, but I'm like, sounds like Black folks. There's several things. There's a lot of takeaways from this, obviously. So again, praise for the survivor and to her family for doing what needed to be done, in terms of the decision that she decided and they collectively decided to make for her future. Um, the reason why we need abortion is because there's a lot of reasons why we need abortion, but this just highlights one of the reasons why you need abortion, because there are people being violated against their consent and who are being impregnated with the children, or conceptions of pregnancy with people who are their assaulters and who are their abusers. No one should be forced to bring anybody's baby into the world, less alone bring into the world a child of somebody who violated you. Okay. There's that. And under this law in Mississippi and in laws in these abortion restrictive states across the country, that's exactly what the fuck these laws sound like they're intended to do. Okay. Like, if you don't catch that pregnancy at that 6th week, that 8th week, that 10th, that 12th, that 15th week, the goal sounds like, at least in part, is to force survivors of rape and sexual assault to bring these children into the world. Why? Why does the government want this? Why is this policy? Part of the thing, one of the many nuggets of information in that piece that might have just flown right under the radar is that they missed a cutoff time. Okay, the parents, or them and their daughter, had they had notified a doctor 3 days prior to when they started making phone calls, maybe they would have been able to arrange those abortion services. But it was the cutoff of her conception, or of where she was in her pregnancy, that made it impossible for them to find a doctor in Mississippi that would do that service for her. Okay. What's the other part about this? Because like I said, there is a lot. There is a lot. The other part that also jumped out, like I said, there were several parts, and I had them arranged in my brain naturally. The marijuana has disarranged them. That happens sometimes. that happens on occasion. One of the other things about this obviously had to be the distance that these parents were forced to begin exploring about where they could legally take their child. And when you look at the map in America, if you live in a place like Mississippi, yeah, it's going to be 700 miles at least. They were referring her to Louisiana, and then they said that the clinic in Louisiana closed. If you go to Andrea Grimes dot Substack, in her newsletter roundup this week, she has a piece there linked. I think it's from Time magazine, that talks about the number of abortion clinics that have closed over the past just couple of months. A record amount of abortion clinics are gone. They're no longer available, no longer accessible. So now people who are trying to get this medical care have to drive literally hundreds of miles. And the cost, did you hear mom talk about the service itself was $1,600? Then the hotel was $500. That's not counting gas and food. This is why we support these abortion funds, everybody. This is why we, again, if you're looking for an abortion fund to support for the month of December, we are supporting the Baltimore Abortion Fund, which again provides a lot of similar services to what that clinic in Planned Parenthood. Well, that didn't sound like they was providing it, but a lot of the abortion funds that we have been supporting here on the channel do help with transportation, do help with childcare, do help with lodging and accommodations. Like, that's why it's important that we support these things. So if you're looking for the link to the Baltimore Abortion Fund, you can find it at the box at the very top of the chat. It's in our link tree. A few bucks, guys. You guys see the overwhelming need for this. And that's right. The other part about that story that jumped out at me, and usually when I hear, I always hear, for some reason, I think Jackie Luqman sits on my shoulder. And I hear Jackie's voice a lot. But all I heard was Jackie Luqman talking about the lack of political education. The fact that these parents didn't have a clue that these new abortion laws went into place in the state of Mississippi. Whoo, that was kind of telling. And I'm sure part of the reason that maybe, and again, I can't speak overwhelmingly to it, but I don't know how much support the abortion clinics in Mississippi got from the Black community in Mississippi. I'm not saying they didn't get any, but I'm just saying I don't know how much support they got, because it's very churchy. Okay, it's very churchy. And sometimes within that deep Black churchy community, if teenagers get pregnant, regardless of the circumstance, sometimes a lot of them kids is made to be parents at very young and inexperienced ages, because well, you was doing this in the dark and God said and the Lord said. And you could hear that conflict in the mother's voice within that piece, talking about she wasn't sure she made the right decision. They said that they don't support abortion, and that's cool. I mean, you can have whatever your religious or political take is about abortion until it's time for you to get one, until it's time for your daughter to get one, right? Then your position on abortion changes, and you have a stake in this. But they always had a stake in it, right? They just weren't aware that they did. And not to say that even if Black Mississippians were very organized around reproductive justice, I mean that the Jackson's Women Health Clinic was going away. Period. Okay, like and yes, I will refer to them people as crackers. Them crackers was ready. Okay, them crackers had been systematically shutting down women's health clinics across the state for decades until they got to just one, and then they shut down the one. So I'm just saying, like, this is a everybody fight, regardless of your religious opinion, regardless if I don't believe in a boy. Nobody cares what you believe in. Okay, people require these medical services, and there's no good health-based reason why these services shouldn't be available everywhere across the country. But just this country's outright contempt for women, and for specifically poor women. Big Teal, I seen you in the chat. Big Teal said it. These laws are disproportionately affecting poor people who do not have the means to travel 700 miles and stay in a hotel for 2 nights and eat and have enough gas to get back home, right? They are making poor people bear children that they cannot afford to support, okay? And that is a very sick, criminal system. It is criminal. It's big slavery. It's big slavery energy. Like, no, you have to bear this child. You have to have this baby. Oh, Lord have mercy. What was? Oh, okay. I think I did mention that the indoctrination of I felt the guilt again. Like I said, I felt the guilt coming from the mom. But when she, I'm sure when she looked in her daughter's face and understood the circumstances in which her daughter became pregnant because she was raped, there's no way that a parent can look. Well, I know a lot of them do. God damn it! But there's no way a good parent can look in the face of their child after their child has described to them how they've been traumatized and say, well, that was God's will. So this baby is God's will. And we're going to make you have this baby in something that you're going to have to be attached to for the rest of your life. No. I am so happy and proud for them parents. Not happy, obviously, but I'm happy that that young woman actually did have the kind of parents that she has. I am curious. I honestly, I don't anticipate us getting a lot of details about this sexual assault that the young woman told her parents about, because I'm assuming these are all minors. And that's another thing, guys. That's another thing. Please don't think that these school-aged boys don't know the ins and the outs of rape, and don't think because they're 13 or 14 or 17 that they don't know how to force themselves or coerce potential partners or people that they desire into sex. This is why it's important. You need to have these conversations not only with your daughters, but first and foremostly with your sons, because they are the ones who I personally will be advocating to go to fuck to jail if it turns out that they're rapey pieces of shit. Don't let your son go down for rape. Teach your son about consent. Teach your son that no means no. Teach your son that his unfinished erection is his fucking problem, and that's not the young lady's problem. Nobody gives a goddamn about your hard dick, young man. Go do what you did the previous years of your life. Go in there, go in the bathroom with your lotion, and take care of yourself. Okay? Your erection is not anybody else's problem but your own. Okay? Okay, so please have these conversations with your boys in addition to your daughters. Most importantly, have them with your boys because, again, I'm going to advocate for your boys to go to fuck to jail, okay? I am. Abolitionist or whatever. So long as jail is the only option for these fucking rapists, if I find out that your boy is out here sexually assaulting and doing things without consent and permission, under the jail for him, please and thank you. Really quick, guys, do me a favor. Shout out to Paul XBSOG. I see you in here, Paul. Appreciate you coming through. Good man. Hit the thumbs up and the like on the video. I'm trying to pick up my energy a little bit here. Woo, it's 7:30. It's okay. We'll keep it going. And this story comes straight out of Twitter. And no, it's not Elon and Dave. Hold on. Before we get it, I don't really had nothing to say about Elon and Dave. Elon is a cornball ass motherfucker, as we all knew and suspected, apartheid-clad, corny as shit, trying to use his black friends. And there go his dumbass black friends like Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle extending his coolness. Oh, come on, Elon. Let me cover you with my coolness, my black cool jacket. And I can't tell whether or not Dave was somebody suggested online that perhaps Dave was setting Elon up to get booed. Maybe. I don't know. Dave, I will say, is going out sad, but he's had some sad moments over the past year, and I think this is one of them. When he started shaming the audience members, I said I wasn't going to talk about this, and I'm not. But when he started shaming the audience members, you guys know what we're talking about, obviously. The video circulating on Twitter when Dave Chappelle brought up Elon Musk on stage at his comedy show over the weekend in San Francisco. And when Elon took the stage, he was greeted with a chorus of boos, a mixture of some cheers from some videos I saw, but it was a cascade of mostly boos. And then Chappelle was trying to, try to comfort Elon by saying, oh, those must be the disgruntled Twitter engineers that you fired. Or, oh, you notice where those boos are coming from, up in the cheap seats. And it's like, Dave, why are you trying to drag your audience to make this motherfucker feel better? What? Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Because I said I wasn't going to talk about it, and there I go. But anyway, Twitter, that's how I got distracted. This story came fresh off of Twitter, and it has been quite the conversation starter around medical care, around Black women's medical care, specifically about the ways in which pregnant Black women, expectant Black women, women who are in labor, how they are treated at a particular Atlanta area hospital, at Emory University Hospital. Now, where did this whole kerfuffle begin? Well, it started because people, adults, big adults, thought that they were kids, and they made a TikTok. And they thought they was in middle school, and they made a TikTok about the shit that they find icky, that patients do. And it's like, goddamn, ladies, y'all are big ass women. Why in hell are you going on social media voluntarily to potentially make yourself look bad? But the obliviousness of these particular set of nurses, they didn't think that they were doing anything wrong when they hit send and publish. and they found out really quick that, to reference Chappelle here, keeping it real can go wrong really fucking fast. So let me show you guys the video in question that got this whole controversy started. Okay. And just to be clear, these are from Atlanta's Emory Hospital in Midtown. Okay, in the ATL. So these are nurses that were until recently working at this particular hospital as labor and delivery nurses. And these are the things that they find icky about their patients. Let's take a look.
Ick is when you come in for your induction talking about, can I take a shower and eat?
What? My ick is when you ask me how much the baby weighs
and it's still in your hands. Dad comes outside and asks for a paternity test right outside the room door.
Saying you don't want any pain medicine, no epidural, but you are at an 8 out of 10 pain just a Cervidil, and you're still closed, fingertip.
When we've already told you to push the call light, but every 5 minutes, your family member coming at the front desk asking for something else. Excuse me, can I have a blanket? Another ick. When you're going room to room between one baby mama and your other baby mama. Oh, no. Ick. Say that. It's the unlimited trips to the nurse's station for me.
Ick is right. Yikes. Listen. I think it's okay for people to go online and maybe poke fun at the particulars and the maybe annoyances of your particular profession of your job. But when you are dealing in the healthcare industry and patients, like you deal with the public, you could be dealing with anybody coming off the street that requires your particular skill set. Um, it is bad form to say the least, right? Like I don't want social workers talking about you should have seen how dirty this kid was. Like Jesus, no. Like there's some shit no. There's some things about your particular discipline that should not be shared with the internet, okay? And apparently the nurses at this hospital in the labor and delivery section apparently do not have the greatest reputation in terms of their care, particularly for expectant Black mothers. And I want us to look at a video that also on Twitter had gotten over 1 million views of a woman who said that she not only did she recognize some of the nurses in the video, but she blames them for the level of care that she and her infant received. And by the way, there was a let me spoiler alert. The spoiler alert is that Emory Hospital has fired these nurses. Like this turned into a big fucking deal on social media, okay? And it was a bit of a mixed reaction. Like some people were actually defending the nurses, saying that this was lighthearted, this they weren't naming patients, specifically, no privacy was violated, etc. But others took it right, and this is the way I took it, as a sort of indifference that I would imagine that they are showing towards their patients. Right? It's already hard enough, I imagine, to bring a baby into the world. If I want an extra blanket, is that asking too much? Or if I don't want an epidural and I am at a pain 8, I don't want an epidural for whatever reason. Like, why am I being condemned for this? And a lot of the Black women's maternal mortality and general health outcomes after delivery are horrific in the fucking toilet. We know that Black women die in delivery and in postpartum 4 times, 5 times the rates of white women in this country. We know that Black women are more likely to have a cesarean section than white women. But I want us to hear from this mother. I want us to hear from this mother who got online and made their own video in response to the one that we saw about the icks from the Emory Hospital nurses. So let's take a look at this mom who says that she recognized some of these nurses.
Have you seen the video going around of the labor and
No,
delivery nurses
not
giving their
that
eggs?
one.
That is the hospital that I almost...
Not that one. Is that the same one? Is it the woman where it's a Black woman? Well, not the Black woman with the long hair. The other lady, she's kind of like clapping her hands around. I'm pretty sure I had that up. Will maybe I have jumped the shock too quick.
I think it's the same one.
Okay.
I think it's the same one.
Thank you. Go ahead, run it.
Have you seen the video going around of the labor and delivery nurses giving their eggs? That is the hospital that I almost gave birth at.
That second nurse, karma's a bitch. I will never forget your face. My son will never forget your face. You was there when we asked so many questions on how my son passed away, and you played it off. Y'all all played it off, and 2 of y'all are in that video. And karma is a bitch. 2 down, 3 to go. Y'all are finally being held accountable. Like, it's so much that y'all did wrong, and yeah, it's time for me to take that next step, because this just pushed me. Oh, I was willing to forgive and move on, but that video right there, y'all energy, it's so much y'all did.
There's a couple of those. So that's the only video that I've seen where somebody said that they'd actually lost their newborn at that hospital. I saw a tweet from another person who tweeted that their child had actually died at that hospital in reference to this video posted by these nurses. We don't have to really wonder, why Black mothers have the health outcomes that they do. And I know several of those nurses were Black themselves. And it's just a reminder that, everybody is capable of anti-Blackness, including Black people. Okay. And society has conditioned us to negate what Black women say generally. Pick a topic, any topic. Society has conditioned you not to really listen to Black women, but especially that the most damning thing is that society has conditioned even nurses to not even listen to Black women when they are describing their own bodies, when they are describing their own symptoms, when they are trying to articulate either their the like that woman said. She said, I had so many questions and y'all energy was off. When they are trying to articulate their concerns, their frustrations, their worries, like, we are just disregarded, and even sometimes disregarded by our own. But within the medical institution, especially, the way that Black women's healthcare is just treated as if an afterthought. And oh, well, they're just complaining. Oh, they want another blanket. Oh, they're sending their family member up to the nurses station. It's like, what these people are describing as annoyances are people's big giant fears, knowing that they are a Black woman and pregnant, and they're looking for some reassurances, right? And what are they getting? They're getting derision. They're getting, this haughty sort of attitude, like, oh, you're bothering me. That last sister we saw, that's exactly what I was picking up that she was referring to, like, just a general attitude of indifference towards women who are in their most vulnerable, towards tiny humans when they are at their most vulnerable. It's ridiculous. But the other side of this, I want to play another video because a Black nurse, obviously working someplace completely different, raised an interesting point about, who gets their workplace called to the point where they're trying to get people to lose their jobs, and who doesn't when shit goes viral online. So there's another video of some white nurses, I believe at an urgent care, and I'm not exactly sure of the location, but they had also posted an icks video, a patient icks video, and it was long. It was kind of dumb. That's why I did pull it. I'm like, this is not even entertaining. This is just young Karens cackling a bit in the office. But I mean, and anyway, urgent care is not fucking labor and delivery, let's be clear. But another Black nurse posted a video and wondered why the white nurses did not get the same energy coming from the public and coming via social media as the Black nurses did. So let's take a look at her video too.
Today we are going to talk about our patient icks. So if you come to urgent care, don't...
Where was the outrage in this video though? Because all those same comments, all that energy that was directed at those nurses from Emory in Atlanta, all y'all people that called the hospital trying to get them fired, y'all never called and tried to figure out where these girls worked. Let me know if we're ever going to have a real discussion about how y'all treat nurses that look like me. These girls are still working, never canceled on Nurse Talk.
Hey, I can't argue, won't argue, because we already know, no, the energy is not reciprocal, it's not equal. Um and it's racism is the reason, without question about that. The need to collect and discipline Black people is a very great need that American society, well, I guess, white supremacist colonialist society feels generally. But even again, even with Black folks, we some among us will do that due diligence and try to find people's jobs, phone numbers, try to find your supervisor, and to take that extra time to make sure that you are dealt with. And perhaps I look at these nurses, maybe the importance of their positions a little differently. I think that labor and delivery nurses, I'm sorry, maybe do more than urgent care nurses, or have a greater responsibility than urgent care nurses. I mean, I'm probably talking out of my ass as I say that. So let me shut the fuck up, because I'm not privy to what the responsibility loads and the life and death situations of urgent care nurses versus labor and delivery nurses. But I'm just saying the sister's point there is very valid. I don't know to what extent and to how Black nurses are treated better or worse. I would obviously assume worse. I know that we have a lot of nurses in this country that are not only Black, but Black immigrants from the Caribbean, from Africa. And we have a lot of Asian nurses, also immigrants from the Philippines. I would imagine that the nurses, actually, the non-white nurses, probably get treated rather poorly, and probably are more likely to have people trying to tell on them for bad care or perceived bad care. But when we go back to the Emory situation, there's no mistaking the fact that Black women delivering babies and after they deliver babies are at a greater risk for health complications and for death. And it's the kind of indifference in the attitude displayed there by those nurses that, shouldn't shock us to why we continually end up with these horrific statistics for Black maternity mortality rates, right? That's got to be part of the problem. So I'm not upset that these particular people lost their job. I have a feeling that they probably will be working again soon, because nurses are in short supply and high demand. We need nurses in this country, but I think perhaps some nurses need to have a reassessment of their empathy and their compassion, because that's not it. Okay. And for the amount of people that came out on social media detailing their horror stories at that specific maternity ward, that's not an anomaly. That is a systemic problem that Emory needs to address. And not just Emory, I would imagine labor and delivery outlets in hospitals across this country need to address it. But let's see it get addressed. Let's see it get properly addressed. Thank you all so much for being in here with me on tonight. Appreciate it so much. Come on in here and do us a favor, guys. Follow us places around the internet. We are at BIDWKB, Instagram, Facebook. Where else are we on BID? Oh, appreciate DD, Northern Witch, over there on Twitch, modding for us on Twitch. We're at Burn It Down KB on Twitter. Fuck. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Y'all, my brain is already gone for the holidays. It's already gone for the holidays. So yeah, follow us places around the internet. We certainly appreciate it. Thanks so much to everybody that has supported us materially over this past year. This has been a really good year for us. I just appreciate so much our patrons, our members here, and people who have gone to some of the other ways that you can support us materially and done that. Cash App, $ BIDWKB, Venmo at BIDWKB, PayPal.me/BIDWKB. And you can always become a patron and or a member. And I think our tiers start at the low at like $2 a month. And several of y'all signed up to be members and have already unsigned up to be members. And I was saying, I said, why? I said, but why? Why? But it's cool. I appreciate y'all coming through for whatever amount of time that you come through. So the last story that I want to do, and we'll pop this up because we're going to do read along. we're going to read along. I saw this initially on the Boston Globe. I'm sorry, the Baston Globe. Baston, is it 2 A's in Baston? how you spell Boston? I saw it on the Boston Globe. I said, no. I said, whites, please. That's enough. I said, that's enough. So anyway, the Boston Globe linked back to the Enterprise. Is this the Cape Cod? The Cape News.net. We in New England, y'all. Roll your sleeves up. We getting in the water. Well, not now, it's cold. But anyway, check out this headline. So tribal chairman and a Mashpee man will be arraigned January 5th in Plymouth, Patuxent. Is there a Patuxent up there? Must be. In Plymouth, Patuxent theft. Now, my ears perked up because they mentioned, obviously, that this person is a tribal chairman, right? And I said, what is he being charged with theft about? And I'll wait till y'all get into this. So the Plymouth Police Department has charged Mashpee Wampanoag tribal chairman Brian M. Whedon and a Mashpee resident, Philip C. Hicks Jr., following a theft early November from an exhibit at the Plymouth Museum. Go on. I'm sorry, at the Plymouth Patuxent Museum. Patuxent. See, we have Patuxent here in Maryland. So when I see Patuxent, it looks very similar and it's kind of fucking me up. So they were charged from a theft in November from an exhibit at a Plymouth Patuxent Museum. So check out what they are alleged to have stolen. 2 bulrush mats and 2 black bear skin rugs were stolen from a Witu, which is a domed hut used traditionally by the Wampanoag tribe. The 4 stolen items were valued at about $10,000 total, according to police. According to Plymouth District Court document, the 2 men, both aged 30, will be arraigned on Thursday, January 5th at 8:30 a.m. for felony for breaking and entering into a building at nighttime and larceny over $1,200. A heavily redacted police report released to the Enterprise Friday, December 9th states that the items have been returned to the museum. The Mashpee Police Department also took part in the investigation. 2 unidentified individuals, a male and a female, were also allegedly involved in the incident, the report states. Mr. Whedon, who became the tribal chairman in May 2021 and served as secretary on the Mashpee School Committee, denied knowledge or involvement in the incident in conversations with Plymouth Police, the report also states. The Plymouth Patuxent Museums, formerly known as the Plymouth Plantation, which is a living history museum, a living history museum featuring a recreated 17th century English colony, the Mayflower II, the Plymouth Grist Mill, and a Native American settlement. On Monday, November 7th, Plymouth Patuxent staff noticed that the mats and the rugs were missing from the Witu exhibit, the report states. The next day, a Plymouth patrol officer was called to the museum for the report of a past break-in. The report stated, after speaking with staff members, the officer determined that the Witu had been entered overnight. Museum staff reviewed security footage from that weekend and found activity around 2 a.m. on Monday. Oh, yep, they found him in the employee parking lot, the report states. How many times y'all gonna say the report states, Cape News? The officer and the Plymouth police detective, Michael Weber, also reviewed the footage. According to the report, a dark sport utility vehicle. All right, fuck all this shit. Yeah. The report states. Got it. So how did they catch up with them? Yeah. Larger man. The male, although viewed by the camera. From his conversations with staff, the office reported that there had not been any recent activity involving Mr. Whedon. Oh, so Mr. Whedon has showed up there and told the people about themselves before. I appreciate that. So I just found it really interesting that Native people are being charged with theft by whites, by whites of all people, for taking back their things, for literally taking back their tribal things. The white people said, no, Native people, those aren't your things. Those are, in fact, our things. And so we are actually going to call the man and have you hemmed up for taking your things back. Now, obviously, Mr. Whedon is innocent until proven guilty, and I am not making any judgments about whether he is guilty or innocent in this. But I will say is I fucking understand. I understand. And by the way, the Wampanoag Mashpee people, I think they are a tribe. They actually got a land back victory. I want to say maybe a year or two ago. Or was it a different tribe in the area? God damn it. I'm very bad at keeping my tribe straight, but there was a land back victory in New England, like a year and some change ago, where the people them got some of their land back. And if Mr. Whedon, the tribal chairman of the Wampanoag Mashpee folks, if he decided that he wanted to go to the museum, the Plymouth Museum, Lord have mercy, and go collect his people's things, you know what? I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that at all. And I hope that the Plymouth Police Department and the district attorney's office there really recognizes the folly in charging Native people for coming to get their things, especially, at least according to this report, it sounds as though the items were returned, even though it wasn't they shit to fucking begin with, the museums, that is. You need to drop these charges. Okay, like this is a terrible look for you, colonizer, for you, district attorney in Plymouth, Massachusetts. How dare you even charge Native people with taking anything that is designated to be theirs and or belonging to their tribe? This country, the whole country is stolen. The whole New England stole. Every corner of America, from sea to fucking shining sea, has been stolen from Native people. They should never be charged with anything. If Native people want to walk into the CVS and take everything, everybody should watch them and applaud as they fucking walk out the door. Like, yes, that's just that's the start. That's a good beginning. Let the people have their things. Drop these charges against the tribal chairman and against his homie Philip. Phil came through for support. So anyway, I just wanted to share that story with y'all. That stunningly, white people have decided to charge Native people for coming to the museum and taking back their things. The fucking audacity. So there's that. So anyway, guys, that's the show. Thank you all for coming to hang out. Big up again to my mods, to the great Court and Latif. And I appreciate y'all being in here. Thank you, SG. Thank you. Ooh, we got a Red Sea. Hey, I think I'm gonna have a good show tomorrow. On Status Quo. Fingers crossed. I have been talking to the people from the People CDC, and I have begged them to to please be my guest, because we are not getting the story, guys. We are not getting the full range of the triple demic, right? It's very cute how they describe it on the news. Oh, it's the triple demic. Okay. It's not cute when your child is in the hospital. It's not cute when your grandmother's in the hospital. It's not cute when people are still out here very much unmasked, and people are getting sick and are being disabled by all these funky fucking viruses that are floating around in the air. And the CDC is like, hey guys, maybe you guys should think about putting back on your mask. Get me the fuck out of here. So I'm hoping that the people CDC will join me tomorrow on Status Quo. Also, come hang out with us tomorrow morning for the Remix Morning Show on Black Power Media. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. Always a good time with my bruvs and my good sistren. So we'll see y'all then. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Please don't forget that COVID is still out here jumping on people, as I have been screaming for a couple years now. But yes, COVID is still out here jumping on people. Please wear your mask when you are indoors in public spaces. Wash your hands, social distance. On behalf of Will and Molly, thank you all so much for tuning in. We will see you guys back here on Friday. See y'all later. Bye-bye. Appreciate y'all, Fire Fam. You guys are the greatest.